Did you know that women are twice as likely than men to be diagnosed with some sort of anxiety at some point in their lives? For many high achieving women, the pressure to be perfect and the fear of failure run deep. Add in the weight of imposter syndrome, and that, if you don't know what that is, that's like the nagging feeling that you're like a fraud, despite all evidence of success. And it's no wonder anxiety often follows close behind. Each of these patterns, perfectionist, fear of failure, and self-doubt, creates a perfect storm for anxiety to take hold. Hello, my name is Angie Heck. I want to welcome you, and I'm glad that you're here today. I am a certified 180 Method life coach and the creator of the Confidence Code, From Fear to Faith. I help high achieving women, especially mothers, break free from anxiety, control, and the pressure to hold everything together so they can finally lead their families from a place of peace, not perfection. But I didn't start here. Nope. I used to believe that if I could just do enough, if I could fix enough or prove myself enough, I'd finally feel peace. Instead, I actually found myself more exhausted, more anxious, and completely disconnected from my family, from myself, and from God. When I went through the 180 method, I realized something very powerful. I wasn't broken. I was disconnected, and there's a big difference. I was disconnected from my true self, the one God designed before trauma, fear, and expectations took over. Healing didn't happen when I tried harder. It happened when I surrendered deeper. My intention for our time together today is to help you see that anxiety isn't your identity. It's actually a signal. And that confidence begins when we stop performing and start trusting. Think about a moment recently when you felt anxious, tense, or like you had to control everything. Maybe your teen was pushing back, something at work went wrong, or someone misunderstood you. Now ask yourself, was I afraid of losing control? Or was I afraid of being seen as messy, weak, or not enough? That is the real root of anxiety for many of us. It's not just fear of failure, it's actually fear of exposure. We learned somewhere along the way that safety comes from competence. If I can perform, achieve, and manage it all, I'll be safe. But emotional safety doesn't come from control. It comes from connection. When your nervous system has been trained through trauma or responsibility to equate mistakes with danger, anxiety becomes your constant companion. And that's why even the strongest, most capable women you know can feel anxious, disconnected, and deeply alone. Let's talk about why trying to think your way out of fear doesn't work and what does. You are a human being, not a human doing. I'm going to say that again. You are a human being, not a human doing. But most of us live completely from the human side of that. Our logic, lists, and survival mode. And here's what that looks like. So we have two parts of the brain that we work with in the 180 method. And the first one we're going to talk about is the neocortex. So the neocortex is like where your logic lives. Like it's where your planning and problem solving lives. And then we have the amygdala. The amygdala is like your emotional memory bank. It remembers fear, trauma, and it keeps asking you the question, am I safe? So it's constantly firing off that question. Am I safe? Am I safe now? How about now? When anxiety shows up, it's your amygdala, the emotional memory bank, saying, I've been here before and it wasn't safe, or I've felt this before and I didn't feel safe. So, you go into this anxious mode. When you feel hijacked by fear, your brain isn't malfunctioning. It's actually protecting you. But it's protecting an old version of you. That's where the being comes in, the part of you directly connected to God. That's where your peace lives. That's where your confidence was born before fear ever entered the picture. So let's do a quick exercise. Think of the thing that triggers your anxiety the most. And how are you talking about that? Are you saying my anxiety? Or let's switch it up just a bit for like fear and like control. So my fear issue, or fear of failing, or my control issues. Like if you're using that kind of verbiage, then I just want to challenge you to out loud or in your mind, but out loud is better because it's another sense that you're using. So replace the word my with the word the, making it the anxiety, the fear, the control. Do you feel a difference? So when you say my, you make it part of who you are. So you're making that part of you. So basically you're taking ownership of it. When you say the anxiety, the fear, you recognize it as something you can observe. Like it's not something you have to be. So it's the anxiety, the fear. Because you are not anxiety, you are not perfectionism, you are a woman in progress, healing, not broken. Now, let's talk about what happens when anxiety hijacks your system. First of all, a hijack is when your body goes into the survival mode. Your heart races, your breathing changes, and your body releases adrenaline. You can't think logically. You can't problem solve. You react instead of respond. That's why even when you know better, you can't do better because you're in this hijack. But there is a way to interrupt that hijack. It's called the SOS method. So the first S stands for stop. So you're just gonna stop whatever you're saying or doing and just give yourself a moment. And then the O stands for oxygenate. Take slow, deep breaths. And that releases oxytocin, which is actually the antidote to adrenaline. So you're basically kind of like squashing that adrenaline. And then the last S stands for seek truth. And so you're going to ask yourself a couple of questions here. What's really happening right now? what am I afraid this says about me? And what does God say about me instead? Every time you walk through this, you rewire your brain to respond with faith instead of fear. And the more you use the SOS method, the more automatic it will become. The sooner you're gonna catch yourself in a hijack and be able to say, wait, stop, oxygenate, and ask myself what's really happening right now. So it will become more and more automatic. Think of a moment when you were triggered. Maybe it was an argument, a failure, or a moment when you felt small. Close your eyes and walk through the SOS in real time in that situation. So you're just going to stop, oxygenate, and seek truth. Feel this shift in your body from control to surrender. From I have to fix this to I can trust God with this. All right, you now know how to identify the root of your fear and anxiety, shift from human doing to human being, and use the SOS method to reset in the moment. The next step is to go deeper, to heal the root, not just the reaction. I'd love to invite you to a free one-on-one confidence reset session with me. And in that session, we'll uncover the core fear that's driving your anxiety, where control is stealing your peace, and how to reconnect with the truth of who God says you are. You don't need to fix yourself. You need to find yourself. The healed, peaceful, faith-filled woman God already designed you to be. So thank you for being here, for choosing healing over hiding, faith over fear, and peace over perfection. I hope that I get the honor of working with you soon.